I didn't graduate college, and that was the one thing I wanted to talk about today too. I left a semester short of graduating with environmental studies, and I didn't see it to be useful to me. My guidance counselor, when I asked him in college what I should do for a career that involves travel, he was like, you can be a travel agent, you can, own a travel business, you can be a flight attendant, and he gave me these recommendations, but never would he have said, well, why don't you actually travel at every country in the world and break a Guinness World Record and see what comes from that? I just didn't get that kind of creativity, and so I found that I had to do my own career on my own. I couldn't find my career through college. And you guys actually might find this interesting. My best piece of advice when it comes to entrepreneurialism and making your goals happen is, you probably heard the phrase, fake it until you make it. And that was me. I had to fake it until I made it when I was 21. I left college and I knew I wanted to travel. I wanted to just backpack and dive into the world and see and experience different cultures and places and things. But I also wanted to somehow further my career. I didn't just want to la-di-da travel and have fun. I mean, those were my party days back then. So I did have fun, but I also wanted to just focus on what my career would be. So I called myself a sustainability consultant. In America, to be a sustainability consultant, you need to have like a master's degree and have a lot of experience, a really tough field to kind of work with. But what I did is I called myself a sustainability consultant. I built a website, a very professional website, and I learned to kind of do it for myself from there on out. Like I built Expedition 196 and CassieDePeckle.com. And then I had a manila folder, and I would go to luxury hotels. Like one of them was in Machu Picchu in Aguascalientes. There was a hotel called Inca Terra Machu Picchu Pueblo Hotel. And I went there and I said, hi, I'm a sustainability consultant, and I see that you have some issues with your energy initiatives and your sustainability tours. There's a lot of improvement that could be made. So I made a cost-benefit analysis for you, and I have a PowerPoint presentation I'm going to deliver to you. So I walked up there, like I had a backpack, but I left it in the hostel, and then I just had like one nice scarf pretty much that made me look a little bit dressy. And then I would deliver it to the general manager, and then they'd be like, well, what do you want in return? I'm like, just room and board, for now, and then we'll see. So I was able to travel and work in Mexico, in Peru, in Ecuador, in Bolivia, in Turkey, London, and all those places by calling myself a sustainable, by having this like fake career. But you know what? It's not like you're being fake with these people, because you are helping them in some way, and they see your knowledge as being valuable. They see that you have something to offer. I knew, even though I didn't hold a degree in environmental studies, or sustainable tourism, I knew my stuff. I did my research. Like I researched how to create a cost benefit analysis. At 21, I had no idea what that meant. I had to do all my research to really try and help these places, to pour everything into these places in order to get free room and board. And I was able to put this stuff on my resume. Like this was my binder that I carried with me in my backpack when I was doing backpacking abroad. It says Cassandra Louise DePeckle, Sustainable Hospitality Consultant. I recommend, if you're just starting out, if you're young, do this sort of thing, because companies see it as being immensely professional. Like I had these business cards, like brochures, brings back memories. My bio with my business cards, references from anyone. Like I worked at reception at hotels, so I put their references in. Inca Terra, I got a reference from them too. All the logos that I created, so it's like digital design, websites I've developed. I'm telling you. And then what you can do for them. If you bring this binder, and if you're like 21-year-old or 18 or whatnot, barely out of college, they'll look at it and they'll see professionalism. They'll want to kind of invest their time into you. And I find that to be really important. Who sponsors you to have a holiday? Well, it's not a holiday, unfortunately. I wish it were, but it was not. It was a lot of work. And how did you get the money to travel to every country? All right, so I'll talk about the money. No company is going to give you money to fulfill your dreams of traveling the world. I didn't want to hear it either, but it's the truth. If you approach any company and ask them for money to travel, they're gonna say no. If you approach your friend and ask them for money to travel, they're gonna say no. If you approach your family for money to travel, maybe they'll say yes for a Christmas gift or your birthday gift or something, like chip in $1,000 or something if you're lucky, but no. No one is going to give you the money to travel, and that's just the bottom line. You have to save to go. Once you book that one-way ticket, with the money that you've saved, then you can kind of create a sustainable way of traveling. So I think for a lot of you guys, you just want to see the world and you want to maybe make a difference as well. And I really respect that. And I think it's so awesome that so many guys want to a lot of messages I get from you guys are you want to travel for peace as a peace ambassador, you want to promote sustainable tourism. It's all so great and it's so good. In order to find money to do that, and if you're going to do it for a cause, the first thing I'd recommend is going for grants, reaching out to nonprofits that align with your message. If you want to be a peace ambassador, or if you want to promote cultural understanding or responsible tourism, go to organizations. Yeah, you could study abroad too. I couldn't because I didn't have the money for it, because studying abroad required all those loans and I couldn't get as many loans to study. So it was an issue for me, but that is an opportunity. You can do Peace Corps, apply for Peace Corps and spend 2 years in a country. If you just want to travel and you want to promote a great cause, you can reach out to nonprofits for grants, or you can create a GoFundMe or an Indiegogo, do crowdfunding, fundraising, that sort of thing. If you want bigger bucks, you have to be going after something that is very unique and that will benefit that company. Look into the company that you want money from. Is it Starbucks? Is it Nike? Is it Lululemon? Look at their company, their corporate responsibility message. They have to at least support sustainability or clean water initiatives, and then direct your project towards what they support, what kind of missions they support. Now you need to have something strong for them to pick you out of a crowd. So is that going to be like an endurance event? Are you going to do a race in 5 countries? Are you going to do something that no one else has done before, or create a massive farm in Africa? What is it that you're going to do that's going to make you stand out from the crowd and make them really want to use you for their campaign? It took 1.5 years to find all of my sponsors. Well, enough to take off, and then it took the remaining 2 years. I had to keep going to find the sponsors throughout my expedition. Go to LinkedIn and email the CEO on LinkedIn, get the premium thing, email them a quick message with my pitch, my deck, proposal, and wait to hear back from them. I had to go to networking events and conferences. It was also word of mouth. It's an immense amount of work, and I would not recommend going that route. This time last year, I had about 9,000 people on Instagram following my account, 9,000 to today. That was 1 year ago, and that happened because of all the media, because of what I achieved. If I didn't do the expedition, I'd still be kind of at that number, if not less, because I wouldn't know what I'd be doing with my life. So that's kind of what they look for, you know, not just a following or an audience or whatever, but what do you have that no one else has? What do you have? What makes you stand out from the crowd? And that's why we're going to give you money, as long as it aligns with our message as well. I traveled around Europe on $10 a day, and I traveled on South America on $5 a day before my expedition when I did all my backpacking. Traveling cheap, use statravel.com. If you're under 26, a student or a teacher, you can get amazing discounts for flying. I would also say go to the grocery store as often as possible, like don't eat out as much. You can, and I find grocery stores to be really cool in countries around the world. In fact, in France, I found like chestnut spread stuff in a tube, and I've never seen that in France ever when I've been there, except for when I went to the grocery store. So you can find cool foods when you go to grocery store in these countries. It'll save you money, and then work for free room and board. Kind of, there's tons of volunteer work out there as well. People are scared to travel alone, and I totally get it. For the longest time I was, but fortunately I took off for college at the age of 18 to go study in Costa Rica my first year. So I really got I lived with a host family, and I really was immersed in that culture for a while. When it comes to traveling alone, the issue comes down to fear, and where does that fear come from? It might be being kidnapped as a woman, or getting sick abroad, or getting their wallet stolen and not having anything and being stranded. All of these things, if you think about it, they lead to the thought of death, you know, kidnapping. The worst thing comes to mind. Getting like really sick in a foreign country, the worst thing comes to mind. Losing your wallet, you know, you're completely helpless, and who knows what could come of that. So I think the first thing to think about is really death. And I know that sounds dark, but I had to accept death. I had to learn to accept what was out of my control. In order to accept the thought of death, the worst possible thing that could happen to me, I had to think of statistics. What are the chances of me dying in a car accident, going from point A to point B back home, as opposed to dying in maybe a terrorist-related event abroad, or getting my wallet you know, I had to think of these scenarios. If you actually look at the statistical data of, you know, car accidents or dying of cancer as opposed to in a terrorist-related event, it will put your mind at ease as kind of messed up as that sounds, because the chances of something happening like that are pretty slim, and you can kind of rest easy knowing that. And once you kind of know that and feel more comfortable with that, then you can go into a country with an open mind and embrace new challenges and experiences that come with that. Someone asked, how do you sell your project to the brands? How can they make money? You are an advertisement to them. You are something that they use to advertise their brand. They use you. You have to think, well, if I own a company, that's a person who's fit and healthy and stuff, so I probably want them promoting my pants. Oh, and they've also done something with obesity in America. You know, they've done a big project. So yeah, I want them on my advertising campaign because they're gonna make us look good. That's pretty much what it is. I'm just being completely honest. It's fine. It's just how business works. So you really have to educate yourself and how the whole business world works. For your sponsors, what are some of the work things, events you had to do for them, and did the sponsors only want their brand to be associated with certain countries? No, I think they liked the fact that I went to every country and they wanted to promote the world as a whole. I didn't really have to do too many work things for them. I knew that the expedition was going to be gaining a little bit of traction with the media, so the goal was to mention them in the media. Companies are really interested in that. They really want their brand to be seen in the media. Worldwide media is even better, but it took a while for the US media to catch on, and they really appreciated when I mentioned them in that. They wanted to be in the educational documentary, potentially the book, and they wanted to be in the media, and that was that. So it's kind of an in-kind kind of partnership with these sponsors. But really the company, no matter what you're doing, they believe in you. Like, they're believing in you. They're buying into you as a person. When people travel, especially when you're young, in your 20s and stuff, what do? You go to a place, you see the beauty of it, you taste the food, and you party. You know, you meet people, you go to parties. I didn't go to one party on this expedition. I had to work the entire time. I didn't have time for that. And I was working 8 to 15-hour work days on my expedition. It was an immense struggle. People don't realize that I didn't party on this expedition, and I planted trees instead. I met with mayors and ministers of tourism. I spoke to university students, and then I had to get the visas, and I did vlogging. I was journaling every single day. Before this expedition, I did get paid to travel. I saved up that $2,000, and then I would get, jobs for free room and board to just stay longer in that country. And I would also get some cash here and there to be able to stay longer and travel further. And I chose to spend that money on travels as opposed to things, and that's what you call getting paid to travel, I guess. I have money to travel, but I don't have the best partner. You don't need a partner. You can do it alone. And I would highly recommend trying it out, because it's almost like when you're alone, your senses are so much more heightened and you're able to take in so much more. And if you sit next to someone or see someone, you can go talk to them, you can do what you want, you can kind of formulate your own plan. If you meet people, you can go their way, go to Croatia for a day, or take the path less traveled. And I think it's really cool to do it alone. Plus, you're never really alone. You're always surrounded by people, unless you're in your hotel room at night, like alone. But even then, you're probably just talking to a friend or something on the phone, so you're never really alone. Someone asked about solo travel and how to handle money and dividing carbs up in cash, keeping personal belongings safe and not getting robbed. Looks like you are a woman, and by your profile picture, I could be wrong, but one thing that I did was I just stick it in here, out of sight, out of mind. Even my phone, stick it in there, stick it in your sports. I always wear a sports bra when I travel, and for that reason is because you can always just put your cards in there, your everything. No one's gonna reach through your shirt to try and get your stuff, and you can't really see it. If you wear a jacket, if you wear something like this, it's pretty disguisable, and I'd say it's safe. I don't know how guys can keep their wallets and stuff when they're traveling in their back pocket. I think that's really unsafe. I would never put anything in my pockets, but I did have a money belt, and I found that to be very useful throughout my travels as well. What did I search about the culture before going to a new country? I've researched not much, because I wanted to just embrace these places with a completely open mind, and I didn't want to have any other opinions skew my thoughts. Some people have had bad experiences in countries, or a couple countries where I had not the best experiences, but someone else did. Like, my friend went there and had a great experience. So we all have our own personal experiences in the countries that we visit. So I don't like to research too much, and I just like to formulate my own opinion when I go there. But I would research obviously if I need a visa, the language, and they had any cultural norms that I had to respect, covering up or not saying certain things or not giving certain gestures or whatnot, and then just the transportation systems. I don't think it's harder to travel alone as a woman. I think you have to kind of be watching your back just instinctually and know what to do in case something does happen. What I did is I knew some self-defense, Krav Maga. Generally speaking, I really didn't have too many issues traveling alone as a woman. Best advice for a youngster looking for direction, I would say find 3 things that make you really excited. Whether that's wine, cats, and traveling, find 3 things that excite you and follow those things. Do your research on what things you can do with those 3 passions of yours, career-wise, or if you can go on any trips. Like I recommend trying Outward Bound or maybe Peace Corps, or kind of, there's so many cool companies offering things to people who, young people especially, who are unsure what they want to do with their career or need some direction, and just try out as many things as possible. Really shouldn't stop trying things out. Even me now, I'm like, why didn't I, I was on a Naked and Afraid reality TV show, but why didn't I ever try acting? Well, it's never too late. It's never too late to try anything or go after anything or start any business, even if it's gonna fail. You have to believe in it, but things will fail. Things will be successful and things will fail. And I think it's really important to just go after these things and try them out. Keish says hi. He's tired. He's a tired little boy. So North Korea I found to be safe though, as long as you just follow the rules. You have to go with a good tour agency too. I think there's 2 and one of them closed. Mine didn't though. Process to visit North Korea. I don't know where you're from, but as an American, I had to pay $1,000 for a 3-day visa for North Korea. Chinese tourists, those are the only other tourists that were in the group, they had to pay $300. And you just have to go through a reputable tour agency. They got to get you the visa, and the visa isn't hard to get. You just need to have the money for it. I don't think I would have done anything differently except learned how to calm myself down better in situations that were really difficult. And I also would have been more proactive with finding sponsorship, because I found that to be a big struggle, and I ran out of money 6 months into my expedition, which really scared me. So